Hey guys, it's Tammy. Welcome back to my channel. I'm coming to you today with a MCU recap. I haven't done one in a while, so I wanted to come on and do one. I did actually go ahead and go see Infinity Wars. I'm sorry. I know I was supposed to do all of the recaps before that happened, but I was unable to. I had to go and see it. It was phenomenal. But I'm going to continue on with the recaps until I get to Infinity War and Ant-Man. So I'm going to keep going. I'm going to try to get them all done before Ant-Man now. So Ant-Man and Wasp. We'll see. We'll see what happens there. But let's get some housekeeping out of the way. So remember to like my videos, comment below, share my videos on any format you can, and subscribe. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell, because without the bell it won't remind you that I've uploaded a new video. And I'm going to be having a ton of videos coming up soon. So we're going to have the MCU recaps. I have a table decorating video for a casual table setup. I'm also going to be doing, I'm having a party in July at my home. It's called Christmas in July. So I'll have a video for my setup for that and how that turns out. And I also went to a house viewing. It's a home that's for sale. It's a mansion, and there's a company called Vintage Home, and they sell antique furniture and goods, and they reupholster, they refinish, they refurbish. So they do a lot of different things, and they put all of their furniture in there. So I do have a video from that. I am trying to edit that as we speak. So just bear with me, but make sure that you subscribe and hit the bell, because then that way you'll get notified anytime a video comes up. So let's get down to it. So this is the Iron Man 2 recap. And I'm going to be looking at my notes, even though I've seen this movie a number of times, and I love the movie. A lot of people didn't like it. They felt that it was rushed. A lot of people didn't like the motive behind it, and a lot of different things. But a couple good things came out of it, and I'll talk about that while I do the recap. So first off, it starts out with you hear the news conference from Iron Man 1 where Tony's talking, and then he announces that he's Iron Man, like a cuckoo bird. And then they show a old man laying on the sofa. He's watching it. He starts coughing, and they show Mickey Rourke, who we know, we find out later on he plays Whiplash, but in the movie his name is Ivan. And Ivan comes over to the gentleman, and he's talking to him, and the older man says, "That should have been you," and then he dies. And then we see Ivan, he pulls out blueprints, and it has a man, Anton, oh gosh, I can't remember his name, but it has a man, Anton's name on there, and Howard Stark. But it's blueprints for what we can see clearly is an arc reactor. So then you see the man Ivan, he's welding. They're showing the blueprints. He's welding some more. Sorry, I have notifications coming up. He's welding some more. They're showing news clippings about what Iron Man has done. He's disarmed this bomb, and he's deflected this attack, and blah 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 blah. So it's going through all of that, and then he has this arc reactor that he makes, and he kind of starts laughing, and that's kind of how the movie starts. So basically the premise behind this movie is that Ivan, who is the son of Anton, who worked on the arc reactor and some other projects with Howard Stark, is trying to basically show Stark for what he thinks he is. So we find out that Anton was excommunicated or fired from the company, from Stark Enterprises, because Anton wanted to weaponize everything, and he wanted to sell everything, and he wanted to do deals with people that we shouldn't be doing deals with. So Howard sent him away. Howard kept everything that they worked on. So Anton built this animosity. So when his son was growing up, he was a great, scientist, and then he found out, his dad told him, what happened at Stark Industries, and he started doing the same thing, trying to sell arms to, Russia and Iraq and like all of these places. And he's from Russia, actually. And he gets put in jail for quite a few years, and then when he gets out, he's taking care of his sick dad. So he's trying to exact revenge on Tony, because Tony is the son of Howard, and he on his side became Iron Man and the world's hero and all this other stuff, while Ivan was sent to jail and he kind of went down a wrong path. So he devises a plan. He's going to make the arc reactor, but he's going to make it in a different way so that he can kill, or we think that it's so that he can kill Iron Man. But one thing that he kind of states when they fight is that if you show the world that Iron Man can bleed just like everyone else, then, and that he can't always protect them, then they grow tired and weary of him. So basically Iron Man, he's dying. His arc reactor is basically killing him, and he can't find anything to replace the plutonium that is kind of in the arc reactor, and that's keeping him alive, so to speak. But he checks his blood all the time, and it's saying that his toxicity level is just going up higher and higher. Jarvis is pleading with him to try to figure something out and to tell Pepper. And Tony, in a moment of insanity, I guess, actually promotes Pepper to CEO of the company. And they get a notary comes, and the notary is actually Black Widow, or Natasha Romanoff, but she's acting as the notary that works for the company, and then so that they can sign everything over to Pepper. And later Tony hires her. He doesn't know what she does, but he hires her, and then they go to the Stark Expo, and that's kind of where Pepper finds out that Tony has hired, I think her alias is Natalie, the notary. So she, so, Pepper's not real happy with it, but what is she gonna do? It's Tony. He's a little wacky. And then they show like Ivan getting a passport, so something's coming. Something's gonna happen. So Tony decides he wants to go on a vacation. He goes to Monaco, and then he just does something very reckless. He what is his name? Justin Hammer is in Monaco, and Justin Hammer is basically he does the same things that Tony does, and he makes weapons and different things like that. But he's not as good as Tony. He's not as smart as Tony. So he's looking for any reason to, you know, put doubt in people's minds that Tony can do anything right, and so that so the government can do deals with him. So he's in Monaco as well, and Tony is trying to escape him and, you know, try to get away from him. He puts on a driver's, because this is for an Indy drive, and he puts on a driver uniform, and this idiot goes and drives the Stark Industries Indy car. And we see Ivan, he's walking down the side. He's one of the pit people. He's dressed up as one of the pit people, and then all of a sudden he just takes a turn. He walks out onto the road. Cars are flying around him, and he does something with his hands, and you see like his clothes start to burn off, and he has these long wires, and they look like basically lightning. And then he whips one of the cars. It whips in half. It flips. He's just creating mass pandemonium. And Justin Hammer's, of course, watching it on the TV. Pepper's like, what is going on? We got to find Happy. She tells Natalie, Black Widow, to go and find Happy. Happy pulls the car around. She gets in there. She's asking, you know, she's telling him that they have to get the suit to Tony. And so they get on the track as well. They're coming from the opposite direction. And then he whips Tony's Indy car in half, and he's trying to hit Tony with the whips, and, you know, it's just a complete mess. And then Happy runs into him, and they think he's dead. Tony's trying to get in the car. Pepper's yelling at him, and then Whiplash whips the door in half that Tony's handling. So Happy backs up. He runs into him again. He just keeps doing it, and finally he whips the car in half. So Pepper's screaming, and Tony walks on the other, kind of runs to the other side, and he's like, I need the suit. So she throws it out, and it's a suitcase, and he steps on the handle, and everything starts opening up. The suit kind of goes around him, and then he tries to shoot Whiplash, and like it's a fight. It's definitely a fight. And he like wraps the whip around him, and, you know, and Tony's like hurt, and everything's flashing, everything's going crazy. And so he finally does defeat him, and he's just kind of laying there. And then they kind of go to Tony. He goes to visit the guy Whiplash in jail, and he's telling him, you know, it was a pretty good, you know, unit that he created, and if he would have spent a little bit more time, then it would have been better, blah blah blah. And then that's when Whiplash tells him, you know, you bleed just like us, and you can't fight everyone, and, you know, you're showing the world, and they're gonna not care anymore. So Tony leaves, and, you know, he has a birthday party, and he's acting like super crazy, and Pepper calls Rhodey to try to, you know, talk some sense into him. At this point, now Rhodey is not Terrence Howard anymore, it's Don Cheadle. So I personally like Terrence Howard playing Rhodey better, but I like Don Cheadle because Don Cheadle is very serious, but he can be super funny, so I didn't mind it. And he comes, he's trying to talk sense into him. He goes to get Tony's suit, and they just fight. They tear the place up completely. And then Rhodey flies away. We don't know where he's going, and he winds up at an army base. He has the suit, and he basically hands the suit over to the army. Once he does that, and they're trying to figure out what's going on, and they're like, oh, we want to introduce this, and they're like, we're going to do it at the Stark expo, and he's like, I don't think that's a good idea. And they're like, yeah, but you need to call Justin Hammer. And he's like, oh no. And they're like, he needs to strap weapons